family? CTR Media Network. Yeah. Best in the biz. Yeah. Join the team. CTR is who we are, the media network, that's the best by far. Whether you listen at your home, at your job, in your car, come get the information that's needed above par. Never lasting, motivational podcasting, giving you the answers to the questions that you're asking. Serious talks and topics, how to come up and profit, how to better yourself, your health is here. We got it, reaching 350 million, they tuning in. We in 50 different countries, we all can. And like-minded, find your purpose and your assignment. Come get your fix, your feel, your mental alignment. Get active and speak to the masses. Build your influence all levels and all classes. Now you know you can monetize and grow. CTR Media Network. Start the show. CTR Media Network.
Welcome to CTR Media Network TV. Today we are welcoming to the show the phenomenal Tracey Sundkvist, a growth guru for business owners and entrepreneurs across the globe. With over a decade of experience, Tracey has helped hundreds of entrepreneurs master the 20% of activity that create 80% of their success. She's not just a consultant. She's a master of personal transformation, blending psychology and neuroscience and business strategy to help leaders break through barriers, overcome limited beliefs, and scale faster. Whether it's the magnetic messaging, social media mastery, or stepping into the most powerful version of yourself, Tracey delivers real talk, real strategies, and real results. So get ready for a high energy conversation packed with actionable wisdom you can apply today. Let's welcome to the show, Tracey Sundkvist. And just like that, we are here. Welcome to the show, Tracey.
I'm excited to be here.
Yes, I'm happy to have you here on today because you're talking about something. When I read about you, I was like, wait a minute now. She's talking about 100%, but the way her breakdown of 100% is not the way I think about 100%. Now she's telling me, did she just tell me that I could do 20% or what? And 80%, wait, she got to come on the show. So Tracey, you have been called the growth guru. What inspired you to focus on 20% of activity that drives 80% results? And how did your background in psychology shape this particular mission?
I think it probably started with psychology, the fascination with human behavior and how human behavior impacts the results that we get. That was then kind of woven into the business world, because I honestly believe that the biggest change that we're going to see is through entrepreneurial behavior, right? It's the most free space. It really, it's a great space for neurodivergent people. So I really wanted to marry those two things. So from a business growth perspective, it really is. Business growth is it's predictable. It's there's a roadmap once you understand the mechanics behind it. But for so many of my clients, they come in as a specialist, so they don't have the business language. And when you start looking at the data, it becomes very, very clear what are the most important things to focus on that are going to make the biggest difference, instead of entrepreneurs or business owners kind of in chaos and they really don't know where to start.
Ooh, that is true. Chaos is the word of the day. Especially if you're leaving from a traditional, maybe if you're leaving from corporate world, or maybe you work a traditional 9-to-5 job and then you transition into entrepreneurship, it's totally different with what you have to do with your mind and everything like that in order to do that particular shift. But it was something that you just said that made me get a little inquisitive. When you said that entrepreneurship is a good place for neurodivergence. Could you elaborate on that a little bit?
Absolutely. So my daughter is on the spectrum, and when she's 15 years old, and she is my production manager for my own kind of undercover YouTube channel, because I'm learning how to do this. And I tell you, she has given me more sound advice than I can get from watching YouTube videos. So what I was thinking with this is that is such a great role that she can do independently. She can do it online. She can put herself out there, build her portfolio, and she can do that and maintain it using software as a service, for example, right? It doesn't need to be super difficult because it can all be done virtually. So given that she's used to a virtual world, I mean, kids nowadays, tablets and whatnot, she would be completely comfortable with that. And she wouldn't be forced to do, kind of the face-to-face interaction stuff as much.
I never thought about entrepreneurship with that perspective in mind. I mean, here I am, a mother of a neurodivergent, and I never even thought of my son is neurodivergent as well. Yeah. The old term was high functional, but we progressed. Yeah. It's neurodivergent now. And I never really thought of it, but they come out the womb knowing how to work this technology. Like, I'm like, who taught you this? Like, they already know how to do all the things. And my son is just naturally good, very good at creating of videos. And so you're right. Like, you made me think about something like, okay, Tracey. That is a great idea. And I speak to a lot of different moms with neurodivergent children. So I never really thought of it from that perspective. And being that you can do most things virtual and sometimes social interaction is a little bit different. Yeah. Okay, you can still be productive and do it virtually. I'm like, okay, that's why I love bringing people on the show. You make me think. Okay, and so when I think about all the different things that you do, how you mentioned about behavior. So how does thinking and behavior affect our results?
Everything starts from your thinking. So if you look at the way in which we operate as human beings, our beliefs and our values are underpinning the way in which we think about things. Thinking is then also perspective based. It's not reality. It's our perspective of reality. And based on that perspective or that thinking, that is going to drive our behavior, what we do, the decisions we make, who we engage with, who we don't, who we like, everything to do with the results that we get. Now, when it comes to running a business, when it comes to being, very successful at a family life or a sport or whatever, it's all of the results that you're getting is a consequence of the way in which you're thinking, which is then really embedded into your beliefs and your values. So for business owners, if you're not where you want to be, moms, dads, if you're not where you want to be, if you're not happy with your results, the place that you really need to start, even before the action stuff, is the thinking. It doesn't help you then go and solve the symptoms. So if you are an insecure person, for example, and you're running a business, and I've seen this, the way in which you're going to approach clients are different. The way in which you're going to price your services or your goods is going to be different. And until you can face the fact that there's a fundamental issue that you need to deal with, solving the once-off things isn't really going to move the needle.
Oh, that was powerful. Because you said something once again that really forced me to see something differently when you said about our perspective on how we see things. So we shifting things off of an emotion or a past experience of how you were raised or what you went through. And it may not necessarily be the case with that particular thing that you're dealing with. And so you have this, I would say, fog thinking that's not really logical, that is driving you irrationally. I'm like, wait a minute. Now, I see this psychology coming out, all dealing with it. I'm like, wait a minute now. You about to make me start writing notes. I'm about to be a student at this point. Wow, that is just like, and when you mention about if you are a person that's insecure, so it's very important for us as business owners, the same person, the inner person that we're going to carry that into whatever we're doing, including our business, no matter what we do. So what I want to ask you is, what are the stages of business growth and why should we know them?
Such an incredible question that is linked very powerfully to being able to identify what is that 20%? What is the 20% of things that I need to nail so that I'm not all over the place and I'm wasting my time, I'm wasting my energy, and I'm actually not going anywhere with it. So the reason it's important is because when you start out with your business right in the beginning, you have one crucial problem to solve. So this is up until the point where you're comfortably getting up to, say, 20 to 30K every single month. And that first problem that you need to solve is it's always cash. It's how am I going to get the cash to do stuff? How am I going to fund the startup? How am I going to put everything together? And message market fit. Right. So you aren't going to get to the comfortable cash position until you are sending out the right message that is going to attract people to what you have. That second phase of business, so this is looking at about 30K up until just underneath that $1 million practice mark, which is the 83,000. At that stage, it's no longer about the message market fit or the cash. So customers, you should be fine with customers. What happens now is that you need to switch your focus to how am I going to build a team, systems, processes, and structure so that I can be efficient. I mean, imagine you're hustling in that first stage. It's about getting out there. It's about that consistency. It's about learning what people want and then adapting. But as soon as you get enough of that, now you need to balance the scale. You need to be able to deliver. When you start out, normally business owners don't deliver effectively right off the bat. It's something that you do need to learn, because ultimately you need to get results out of other people. You can control your own stuff, right? But when it comes to other people, people are tricky. And I often say when my clients are in that first stage and they're getting it up and they still have that excitement and enthusiasm, that carries them through quite a lot. And then you get thrown with this next big whopper, and all of a sudden everything that you learned before, it's like, well, tough. That's not relevant anymore. Now let's do this. And that second stage, I actually think is the most challenging. From there, it becomes about, it's more around complexity. So as soon as you hit that $1 million mark, now all of a sudden you need to start looking at branding. You need to start looking at, if we're going to open up another practice or another branch, are we going to decentralize? Are we going to, the questions that you are faced with it's a lot more complex. So I typically like to focus on the first two. So business owners in those first two, just because there's so much energy and enthusiasm and growth and kind of optimism in that first. And in that second, they really need the support to steady out the journey.
Yes. And let's be honest, most people or most businesses not even going to make it to step 2. So,
it's sad.
So those first two, everybody's starting in step 1, but step 2 is you might kind of sort of maybe you make it to step 2. And so I see why you focus mostly on step 1 and 2, because of the fact that that's basically where most people are. In order for them to really master step 2, if they're going to be there a minute, because now you got to produce those deliverables. You need those results. You already did the service. Now you need those results, and you want to carry it on. And mentally, once you cross over $1 million, it's just depending upon how you was raised, what you had to deal with, if you had financial issues, if you had a struggle, a childhood, you got to come up, because now, like you said, money is not the problem.
Yeah.
It's like what to do with it, how to invest, how to do all these other things and languaging that you're not even familiar with. Like if you're like, wait a minute now, I'm scared. Wait a minute. I thought this money was going to make my life easier. And you'd be like, wait a minute now. This is a whole different set of problems that I didn't even know existed, because I thought money was the be all and all, that whatever problem I had, it's over. So do you find that to be the case? Like once you reach over that $1 million, those people be like, listen, I didn't know these problems existed. I thought the only problem I had was that I needed money. But now that I had the money, now what?
Yeah. The funny thing is, as soon as you move beyond that second business phase, all of a sudden it becomes absolutely critical that you can hire people who are smarter than you. And ego plays such a huge role at this point, because by this point, people have got a lot of experience. They've been in the trenches. They understand how to make this work. And to bring somebody on board and understand that their technical ability or their niche of skill exceeds yours. Now, how do you navigate that? But the ones who do really well thrive with bringing in more skilled people, because obviously, get the benefit of people who are smarter.
I tell you what, people can look at it. I have it on tape saying it, proof. I surround myself with people who are smarter than me. Now, I must admit, I was not always this reformed. I wasn't always this way. Now, the little ego can come in, the little pride can come in. But once you get to a certain level, you realize that, wait a minute now, you don't know everything. You need people that do know more than you so that the functionality of your company can keep flowing without you. You look for your peace. You're like, okay, who knows more than me? Because I need my peace. I took my time, built this business, and now I don't want to work the business. I want to just make sure that it's maintained by qualified individuals that are better than me. So yeah, I never thought about the psychology side of the mental that you have to deal with the crossover until you actually explain. I'm like, wait a minute, okay. Yeah, that was me at one point. Okay. Yeah, okay, I get it. Oh, but I didn't know what it was. But okay. Now Tracey giving me that light bulb moment. Now I know, Tracey. Thank you. Now I know. So the thing is this. So the ones who do have to go to this stage, there are some mistakes that you're just going to make. And so what are you call them the 5 cardinal sins of entrepreneurship that is relevant in no matter what niche you're in. So what are these 5 cardinal sins?
Okay, so I'm going to give quite a quick rundown, because I could speak about this all day and you will just not go home, and I don't think anyone's going to like that. So I think the first thing is when business owners get started, they outsource the actual business plan. Like, what is your business? Who is it for? How are you going to do that? What's your economic right to exist? They don't have a plan. They have something that they feel they're going to be able to sell, and they go into it kind of blind. So they don't have that big vision. Now, I've worked with thousands of entrepreneurs, and a very, very small percentage of them can actually tell you what is the bigger goal here, because it's not money. If it is money, business is going to be very difficult, right? Mm-hmm. Very difficult, especially in the beginning. So yeah, absolutely. You need to have a vision, and there's a reason why you have, because when it's hard, you need to know what you're fighting for. You need to know what you're standing for. You need to know what is the difference that I have got to create in this world so that you can push through the tough stuff. So absolutely have to have a vision. The next thing is tracking, right? So business owners, in the beginning, very resistant to looking at data to inform their decisions. Right? Learning so much, but learning from an emotional perspective. So we tell ourselves stories. This is going on because the market isn't ready for it, or there's just no one with disposable income, and that's why I can't do it. Whereas the sooner the shift can be made to looking at actual tangible data, so that you can base your decisions and your strategy on actual objective information, business is very difficult. Now, I mean, two big examples of that. The first is in the financial space. So, do you know how profitable are you? Do you know what your profit percentage is? Is that relative, within your niche? And from there, it's around, okay, so are you increasing in value? Right? But many business owners fail to do that until they see the relevance and the importance, which is usually around that second phase of business, because you cannot get to the third unless you get that. So the one is finance, and then the other, of course, is marketing. So marketing is about creating value and then communicating that value and getting people's, getting the interest, and being able to track what's working, what's not is so essential there. So yeah, that's number two. The third thing that business owners typically do is they isolate. Right. So when you're starting out, you have to do everything, right? You have to wear every single hat. And the problem with that is that and especially if you're not tracking, you can end up telling yourself stories that are very far from the actual truth. So when you are, and what I recommend is always have a sounding board. Right? Always have other people, other businesses face the same problems. It doesn't have to be the same niche. It can be any business person who has grown beyond limitations. And usually reaching out is very difficult because, you get so busy that reaching out to other people and making sure that you're developing sound systems is, it's tough, but, very, very important. I think another thing that is so, and this is probably the biggest one, I maybe should have started with it, is your mindset. I mean, we're talking about the psychology of stuff. If you go into business saying it's so hard and too few people make it, and if you position yourself as a victim when you start out in a business, just don't even try. Don't even try, because people with that kind of mentality, they're always going to have a reason why things can't work. Whereas if a person really has that internal locus of control with a growth mindset, they understand that they drive their results and they take ownership of the results that they get. It's not the market. It's not the economy. It's not disposable income. It's not the next door neighbor or partners, or it's nothing. If you can't take that ownership, then it's unlikely you're going to be able to move the needle at all. And then the final one, you have to bring a sense of humor, because business owners can tend to be as serious as a heart attack. And funny enough, that can increase your chances of a heart attack, increase your chance of burnout, overworking. And unfortunately, what that does is it actually reduces your ability to make creative choices and, problem solve effectively. Burnout is actually to blame for I think a lot of business owners just, I don't know, it's kind of you go into automatic mode, and then 5 years, 6 years, 7 years down the line, you realize, but dang, I'm not where I want to be, but how the hell did I get here? Because it's you kind of sleep through it. So cultivate a sense of humor, learn to understand that death is at the end of this journey. And I'm not saying compare business to death or, be afraid of death, but understand that the hard stuff is temporary, and how you're going to approach it. I mean, what was it? The Buddhists say that pain it's certain. Pain is guaranteed, but suffering is optional. So, there's going to be pain. And then choose, how much suffering am I going to allow? And what's the best way for me to handle it when things are getting intense? So for me, comedy, humor, fun, very important.
Me too. You see, I love to laugh. So with the ones who find it not easy to laugh or to have a sense of humor, and all your 5 tips or the 5 things that we tend to make mistakes with as entrepreneurs is so true. But Tracey, why is it just so hard to change, even when we know we must? But what can we do about it? We know we need to do it. But what can we do?
I think the biggest problem for people, and what makes it more difficult to change, is that we only change when the pain of staying the same is bigger than the pain of changing. So, we really need to have something under us to motivate us through change. I mean, if you look at what we go through change, I like to use the example of learning how to drive a car. When you're young, before you need to learn, you look at other people driving and you think, oh, please, cakewalk. I mean, come on. And then one day you get that little permit and you sit behind there and you're like stoked. And the next thing it's like, okay, you need to do all of these things. And all of a sudden, because you start learning that there were things that you didn't know, your confidence hits rock bottom. People don't like to feel like there's chaos. They're not in control of things. They don't understand. There's no clarity. We avoid that. Like we're designed to avoid that. Because, it's a survival thing. We're not going to go out and do weird stuff because that's risky, right? We need to play it safe. So typically what it is first of all, there's not enough real motivation to change. So it's like, okay, well, if you weigh up what the problem is, looking at what that solution is, it's not a strong enough motivator. Think of diets, every single diet ever in the world. You start out with these great, but I tell you what, if you go to your doctor and your doctor tells you you have type 2 diabetes, and if you don't cut sugar from your diet, you are going to lose a foot. I tell you, it's a completely different ball game. So yeah, change is hard because it introduces chaos and it introduces uncertainty, and we do not want to feel that. The funny thing is, as soon as you repeat it, you don't need to understand it in the beginning. You just need to go through the motions, keep pushing through. The other side of that is called conscious competence. And when you gain conscious competence, what this means is that now you can do this thing when you think about it. So now you can drive this car if you just slowly start, you understand what needs to be done, and then you can train yourself to do it. And then the next phase, so here your confidence starts growing, and here you start building up some momentum. And then finally, of course, you end up with unconscious competence, which means you don't even think about it anymore. I mean, I don't think about how I get from here to the shops because I don't have to think about it. Mm-hmm. So it's that hard part where we don't know. That's usually where we run back to safety. So we'll run back to the old stuff because at least we know that. It's like the devil you know.
Exactly. So what we're going to do, we're going to take a very small commercial break, and we'll be back in a moment with Tracey.
Hey Think Fam, it's your favorite host, Michael Finkley, and you can listen to us on CTR Media Network. Go listen in.
I told you it was going to be small.
Wow.
And we are back. We are back. And so before the commercial break, for those of you who are just tuning in right now, we have the amazing Tracey in the building. She is really helping us to understand the mental that it takes for us to transition into entrepreneurship. And sometimes your past, the one that you put up in that chest of drawer, the one that you thought you wrapped up in a bow and you left it in the past. Well, guess what? When you start that business thinking you're going to change your life, that box opened. Yeah. And it's time for you to solve those problems. And she correlates our past and with dealing with us with mental stability into entrepreneurship and how we need to fix that in order to be able to grow. And she also gives us these strategies to help us to be able to grow. And most importantly, sometimes we don't know we're in the pickle because we don't know how to identify it. But with this episode, so far, she has been giving us ways, if you are struggling, you will be able to identify the problems so that you can be able to solve the problem, so that you can be the most successful entrepreneur out there. And you fix that, basically going to fix your whole life. It's going to help you on the personal level as well as your business. And I just love the way that she ties in entrepreneurship and psychology. Oh my goodness. So let's jump right in. We was talking about those 5 cardinal sins, and you went through and actually explained to us why this happens with most businesses. And most importantly, as entrepreneurs and as persons in general, we know we need to do certain stuff, but we just don't do it. And you broke down the psychology on why that is. So people probably saying, well, y'all talking about all that bad stuff. Can give me something good? Yes, we can. So I want to ask you, Tracey, what are the 5 superpowers of a successful entrepreneur? And entrepreneurs, this is for you because we had to break it down, and now she's going to build you back up so you can get to that percent.
Okay. Well, where would we be if we didn't start with mindset? right?
Yeah.
You can go through exactly the same thing as your friend or family member. And because of the way that you look at it, you can approach it in a different way. So what we want to cultivate here is a growth mindset. And that is something that you can develop. You can train yourself to look at challenges as an opportunity to learn things. Right? You can learn to look at problems as an opportunity to develop your problem solving and hone your skills. So the way in which you look at things is so connected to how you're going to approach it. Right? If you look at it and you think it's hopeless, that's how you're going to show up. If you look at it and you think, well, I'm just freaking awesome, I'm going to do this thing, that's the energy you're going to take into it. So the mind, and you know what? You are in charge of your mind. Please don't forget that. When you're on autopilot, you're not, because you're not thinking about it. But you can develop a positive mindset. So if you think, just the world is terrible and there's just no point, the only time it's going to change is when you change your mind. Then things can happen for you. I think the second thing is resilience, right? So this is, when you start out, you're going to get knocked down. You're going to get knocked down. You're going to get knocked down. You're not ever not going to get knocked down. The important thing here is that you're able to get up, that you're able to recover, that it doesn't destroy your ego or your self-worth so completely that every time you get knocked down, a little bit less of yourself comes back up. Right? You need to be, I don't know if you follow Ted Lasso, but I love it. Be a goldfish, right? Only think of the last and then forget it and move on. Not that you don't want to learn. Of course you want to learn, but be a goldfish. Funny enough, the next thing from there is learning, right? This is probably one of the most important things, is that you need to be open to learning. Now, not just learning that is going to align or conform with the way which you see the world. It's being open to alternative perspectives, right? You don't know what you don't know. And as long as you're asking questions that are just kind of in your own knowledge space, the learning isn't going to do anything for you, right? It's about being able to see outside of your reality, outside of your skill set, to say, well, what else could be going on here? So, a great example of this is in the marketing space. Very often, business owners will say, do you know what? Our ads are bad. Our Facebook ads are bad. It's because of the agency. Whereas, when you start looking through the numbers are actually going to tell you your Facebook ads are amazing. Or it's not your Facebook ads, it's your nurture process, or it's your sales process. So be open to not thinking that you know everything, right? And of course, what's then connected to the learning is that action orientation. So you get people, they plan for 2 years because they want it to be perfect. And they plan and they plan and they plan, and they learn and they're perfecting all these things, and absolutely nothing is happening. Nothing is happening. Now, learning is pointless if you're not going to do something about it, right? At some point, you need to say, well, okay, I've now been learning about the sales process for 6 months, but is my sales getting stronger? No. Is my ability to convince people how valuable I am getting better? No. So when it comes to learning, think of that outcome, right? It's think about, if I'm going to get stuck into this, what do I want to get out of it? Right? So that you can practically apply it instead of just doing it for whatever. And I think this is a big thing that, and if we take it to the personal space as well, it's almost like we're addicted to the motivational stuff, right? Because stuff is very often hard. Life is hard. You have setbacks, you have challenges, there's things coming at you. And we can tend to make ourselves feel better, to get that I feel better fix, because you see motivational quotes or you watch nice motivational videos. But nothing is going to change until you change. Nothing is going to change until you do something different. So don't get your I feel better from videos when you're not actually going to say, well, what about the situation can I control? Right? If you can't control it, fine. You need to change your attitude towards it. If you can control it, be brave, have some courage, and go out there and make the changes. Right? So Courage, of course, is very closely connected. And when it comes to building a business, when it comes to creating something from nothing, you are literally a gladiator. You need to understand that you are fighting. There's going to be sweat. There's going to be blood. There's going to be pain. You're a fighter. You have to fight for the thing. So you need to know, what am I fighting for? What is worth me going through all of this stuff? And face stuff with courage, right? Courage is a choice. Courage isn't something that you develop. Courage is a consequence of going through things that scare you. So if something is scaring you, do it. Do it often. Do it as often as you can, because the more you do it, the less it's going to scare you, right? And that's courage. Do what scares you.
You're making me want to stand up and say, yeah, courage. I can do it.
Absolutely.
Listen, that was absolutely amazing. I mean, if that didn't pump you up, I don't know what would. And she gave you the tips and the strategies in order to solve your problems. I mean, just absolutely amazing. So we have some people that are introverts. And one thing, some people will say it's very hard for an introvert to be a business owner. But if a person do have that leap of faith and they're an introvert and they start their own business, how can they overcome that anxiety and that fear that is associated with selling things?
Yeah, I tell you, I deal with this so often, and I really look at this from two different perspectives. The first is, I don't know how expletive I can be, because usually I'm pretty straightforward, but I'm just going to make it more wholesome. And that is, stop saying that stuff to yourself. Stop telling yourself that I'm an introvert, so this is a problem. Because the more you tell yourself that, the more you embed that in your thinking, the more that becomes a fact. Now, you have to be very, very careful what you tell yourself, because when you're telling yourself takes it as fact. Right? So you're saying this stuff because it's coming from you. It's absolutely true. Now, I don't know about you, but if you have ever spoken to an introvert on a personal level about what they're passionate about, they can talk, and they can talk very well, because it comes from introspection. It comes from meaning and purpose. Now, please understand, that's all sales is. Sales is a conversation about value. Do you know your value? Are you excited about what you do? How is this going to help that other person solve a problem? That's what sales is. If you can have a conversation, you can sell.
Well, you just debuffed everything that people had on the fears on selling, because guess what she said? If you can have a conversation, then you can sell. And I don't know anybody that I'm around that don't know how to have a conversation. So listen, it's basically mindset. And like you said, we have to learn to value ourselves. Sometimes people have a difficulty selling because of their lack of self-worth. And it goes back to you with psychology. We have to just really go and do the healing that we need to do in order to grow. I know it's scary. I'm a reformed person myself. I like to leave the stuff in the past, but some stuff in the past is still affecting your present, and you will not have the future you need until you fix this. And it's going to hurt. It's going to hurt. You're going to feel something. You're going to cry. You might I hit a couple pillows and stuff. I had to hit a couple things, but I'm just saying that was me. You might not need to hit a pillow, but I need to hit a couple pillows,
Yeah.
In order to get over my pain. But the end result of it is that the amount of growth and understanding my self-worth and valuing myself and seeing myself through different lenses that I never saw myself through before allow me to be able to now not only be able to be helping myself, but now I'm going outside of myself and helping other people, which I never thought that I could do because of how I used to be, which is no longer Tina anymore. Okay. Yeah. And so I love what you do with business growth. I love what you do with that, the 80 and the 20%, but I love that you're making us do the self-work. Okay.
Mhm.
And the importance
The
of
funny thing there is it's very much the same as success in business.
Mhm.
You don't ever arrive. You don't process past trauma and then you're done. You kind of, get into your old age and everything is peachy. This is something that you need to stay on top of throughout your life, especially through major life transitions, major things that happen, developmental or situational. So it's always a good idea to develop the habits or the practices that help you make sure that you know what's going on with yourself so that you can deal with it so it doesn't end up being this whole big thing, right?
I totally agree with you on that, because now understanding the cues and triggers, you'll be able to rebound quicker, I should say, than waddle in it, let it just simmer. And then now you're totally depressed. You can't get out the bed, all this other kind of stuff that really does put a physical and mental toll on your body. And so she's right. It's something that you consistently have to work on. It's something that you're going to never totally fix, but you're going to have more knowledge on how to cope and how to manage as the things happen. I can go in a situation and it triggered an emotion. I can't necessarily identify the emotion right then, but then once I think about it, like, wait, this is familiar. Now I have tools on how I need to help myself when this particular emotion. Wait a minute. Oh, okay. I know what this is. This is what I need to do. And so I'm telling you guys, therapy is your best friend. For all of you afraid to go to a therapist, sometimes you need a little therapy. And it's okay. I went, and I still do. I just like it for a little tune-up now, because I look at it as if I can get a car tune-up. I need a little tune-up, doctor. I need a little tune-up. So it is really good to help you work through those feelings and understand why you do what you do. Mm-hmm. Okay, and how you can fix it. So I just love psychology in itself, but I love how you blend everything together, and it just makes so much sense. And I never saw these two worlds ever coming together until today. Like, it's really blunt. Like, okay, I didn't see it. That's why I love having these conversations. So Tracey, what is it that you would like to leave with our viewing and listening audience today? Anything you want to share with them or give them a last thought? And a last thought.
I think the biggest thing that I can leave is you are going to create your future. You can drive your own future, but in order for you to do the best job of that and for you to have the kind of life that you want, not the life that other people want for you, not the kind of life where you're comparing to other people, the kind of life that you fit most comfortably in, you can absolutely have that, but you have to know yourself. And it's the same for business. I mean, it doesn't help you jump into a business, but you're not invested. You don't know why you're doing it. The basis of any success and peace that you're going to have in your life is really understand your own motivators and, moving confidently into your future. And anybody can do that. Like, you might not be able to be the president, or you might not be able to have a multi-million-dollar business, but know what it is that's important to you and go after that mercilessly, because no one's going to come and save you. You have to save yourself.
Well, if that wasn't a drop the mic moment, I don't have a mic. I need my mic. Let me drop my pen for it. Let me drop my pen because I need my mic. But wow, like, no one is going to rescue you. You have to gird yourself up. You have to really keep moving. I would say this: entrepreneurship has helped me develop things within me and identify things within me that I would have never addressed had I not become an entrepreneur, had I not become a TV show podcast host, having conversations that make me question my perspective like today on certain things. And so for me, it has been and still is something that excites me and something that helps me. And it helped me develop, because I used to be impeccably shy. I mean, crippling. I'm talking about pouring down sweat, see somebody walking towards me, heart beating, feel like I'm having a heart attack. Like, but now I'm like, it's okay. Why am I shy? Like, I'm not shy. I'm not shy. I just need to get to know them.
Yeah.
That's all it is. I'm not shy. And so changing your mind, changing what you're saying to yourself, because we create, like she said, this world that's not even real, with these feelings, they're not even justified. And we wonder why you can't do what you want to do, because it's you. Now, you know I love you, but sometimes I just got to tell you how TIE is, got to tell you like it is. And that's really what it is. I had to learn, and I'm still learning that to this day. But anyway, Tracey, tell the people how they can get in contact with you, to connect with you on a more deeper level with what you do.
Absolutely. They can find me at superclinicproject.com. So that is our business-based podcast. And from that platform, there's an opportunity to connect personally with me, and I give everybody a 30-minute kind of chaos to clarity one-on-one. So it's not necessary that you need to understand what's going on, be clear on what the issue is, and then we can work through, okay, well, what is going to be in your best interest to have as an outcome, and what are going to be the first steps to move toward that.
Absolutely love it. You guys, you can hear all this good information on her podcast. Now, y'all know, y'all need to go ahead and subscribe, because you know you need some help. You know you need some help. So go over there and listen to her podcast, because I know I'm going to hop on over there myself, because listen, I have to be around people smarter than me. And she's definitely one of those people smarter than me, dealing with this ticker. This the ticker, this the brain, this the ticker, this the brain. So I'm definitely gonna be over there, Tracey. I want to thank you so much for coming on, sharing your expertise, and really helping us get through the chaos to try to understand what it is, so that we can really have something fundamental that we can like work towards, because now we have some knowledge, and now we can build upon that knowledge. And so thank you for everything that you shared. And I really enjoyed our conversation today.
Oh, me too. Thank you so much for having me.
No, my pleasure. My pleasure. You guys, listen, Tracey was absolutely amazing, helping us to work smarter and grow faster, unlocking the 20% that drives the 80% of your business success. Yes, 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 and yes. I know that this is the episode that you're going to need to listen in on repeat, because she dropped so many different gems. You guys, make sure to go ahead, depending upon if you're watching us on television, or you're listening to us, or you're watching us on social media. This is what I want you to do. If you can see us visually, I need you to go ahead and touch this screen and scan me. Come on, go ahead. It won't hurt. Go ahead. Scan me. You know why? Because you can actually watch all of our episodes on the CTR Media Network TV, as well as the other amazing podcasters that are currently on the platform. My show is not the only show. We have a plethora of content that is geared towards edutainment, a little bit of entertainment, and a whole lot of education. So make sure to go check that out on today. You guys have a great, amazing rest of the day. Make sure to check us out next week, same time, same place. Talk to you later. Bye. Have you heard about Book Authority's best new podcasting book winner, which is Dr. Tina J. Ramsay, for her book, The Power of Podcasting, Unlocking Tips and Strategies for Podcasting Success. This book is your podcasting coach in a book. She is sharing so many strategies. This book reached #1 twice on Amazon for new release and best-selling book. So go ahead to ctrmedianetwork.com to purchase your copy today, or simply place your order on amazon.com today and unleash the power of podcasting. CTR Media Network is now accepting new podcasters to join our growing network that's reaching 350 million global listeners. Have you heard? CTR Media Network offers podcast production, podcast training, distribution, and product placement. Book us for your next event, or schedule an interview with CTR Media Network podcasters today.
To learn more, go to ctrmedianetwork.com.